Hello and welcome to Bullets and Milk, our Westworld after show here at that hashtag show. My name is Daniel. To my left, I have the amazing Myverick, and of course we have
not so amazing
Joe.
Average Joe over here.
Average Joe. Right?
Yes.
Can we say that?
So average that my theories have all been proven right, huh?
You're so
Whatever.
average that your simple-minded theories are correct. Yes.
Ooh, you just
I
got
love
Teddy.
the fact that
You just
both
got
of you
Teddy
this
right
week,
there.
were like, you bastard. How could you? And of all of us that were right, how could it have been you?
I don't think any of us said
And
that. I don't think any of us said that.
I
We
just
all
called
have the
Daniel. I
undertones.
called
Yeah,
Daniel
right.
yesterday, and I didn't even say hi. I was like, I was right.
I was right.
I was right.
That's all he said. Oh my gosh. Well,
I dished
pretty
out some
much-
armadillo justice.
we're gonna discuss the episode 9, the Well Tempered Clavier, and
That
we're
sounded
gonna
dirty.
give you yeah, didn't it?
It did kind of.
We're gonna give you some additional insight, maybe point out some things you didn't see, and really get into the show. But first, even before then, I want to do a little bit of housekeeping and ask you to please subscribe to the channel, as well as keep our conversation going on Twitter, Instagram, and every other social media outlet using the hashtag Bullets and Milk. And you can, of course, follow us at that hashtag show on Twitter to do so. But first,
I got you. Without further ado.
let's roll the clip.
What motivated your attack on Clementine? Let's jog your memory.
We've been down this road before.
You broke into my mind.
I built your mind.
What else have you hidden from me?
Episode 9, the Well Tempered Clavier.
We're almost at the finish line.
Yes, we are.
Oh my gosh, thank the Lord.
So, I've got
Hey,
to do this.
wait a
right
minute! You
off the
got
bat.
all your. You like getting things answered. This episode answered like everything
Absolutely.
for you.
Seriously.
Yeah, so last week we were talking about, I feel like episode 7
before we
was
say
what?
anything, spoiler alert, because last time, I don't know if you guys noticed this, last week we got a message, well, if you guys are going to say spoiler alert. This is one of those,
I was like,
Spoiler
did you read
alert.
that? 'Cause I did
Scenarios.
too.
If we had something
You
that we
did?
could
You read
stamp
it?
it would
Yeah.
say it right there. Just
Yeah.
spoiler alert.
So, episode 7, I was talking about how, or 8 rather,
8.
I thought it was like an exposition show.
Oh,
where,
yeah,
like it was just
exposition.
like giving you all these backstories and like filling you with a lot of knowledge and filling in some holes. And then this one I felt like was answering those questions and
Oh,
like
yeah.
bringing it to a head, which is now where episode 10 will be like, how does it end?
did you expect the payoff in this episode? Like all the payoffs almost in this episode?
I was actually very happy that they did do it that way.
But then what's going to happen? There's nothing left to tell in episode 10. I can almost skip it.
Dude, it's kind of just how Game of Thrones does it. Episode 9, we get a lot of things answered, and you're like, oh my gosh,
No.
oh my gosh.
Game of
And then
Thrones does it
episode
differently.
10,
Game of
we'll
Thrones
have our
never
red wedding.
answers questions in episodes. Like episode 8 is usually the Game of Thrones episode where the big battle happens
Mhm.
or the big plot point happens,
Right.
but it's not answering all the questions.
Okay.
It's leaving more questions out there.
Okay.
I don't, and they already stated at Jonathan Nolan and I think her name is Lisa Joy.
Yeah.
They both stated that at the end of this season there will be no cliffhanger.
Right.
So
I'm
everything's
thinking
going
it's
to
going to be, like I said, I think it's like, okay, they did this for us, and I think the next episode will be Westworld's version of like the Red Wedding.
Unless it's going to be the reason why they're giving us so many answers in this one, because in episode 10, like, they'll like, I mean, there's still a lot of stuff that's like, that hasn't been answered.
Well, no,
and that
there's
needs
only
to
really
come
one thing that
around,
hasn't
but-
been
I think
answered,
we're
and that's
gonna see
whether
the
the
incident.
Men in Black and William are the same person.
No, what about Stubbs's,
Fate?
yeah, well, or just even like his
Oh,
role.
well.
I feel like he's way too much of a key character.
I don't
to
think we're gonna
not
get
have
that in this
anything.
season. Like, I don't think we're gonna see that answered episode 10.
But
If it
that's a
happens in
cliffhanger,
episode
right?
10, Maverick, if it happens in episode 10, that episode, I will take a shot of any alcohol of your choosing for that to happen.
That's promoting you. It's positive reinforcement.
That's positive reinforcement.
Yeah. For you, honestly, I think it should be something different. Like, I don't know.
I'll watch anything you have me watch. Any of your
Okay.
Disney movies.
So I don't know if you guys noticed this, and yes, you were right with a lot of these. We were talking about how we wanted to have a vision board of all of our theories, and just so you could see from the beginning what it was, and then in the middle and in the end, where some of them we thought were wrong, and then they actually end up being right. And so we could have it was constantly changing. I know a lot of people that are just now starting it. Some of my friends are just now starting the episode to binge watch it.
Yeah.
And I thought about this, and a lot of the things that we predicted right in the beginning were true. And then in the Westworld, they do such a good job in the show to throw you off of that set much.
Well, Daniel did bring up a really good point when I talked to him last night. He said that at some point or another, we all had the theory that Bernard was Arnold.
Yeah.
At one point or another. I think I may have had it last.
We even said the phrase Bernarnold.
but I think we all at some point had that theory.
Definitely. And then finally it happens, and it's like, okay, so when it comes to fruition, I think we were all kind of like, we knew it, but it wasn't I knew it. It was like, oh my gosh, the same time.
Listen,
they do it so well. The writing.
This was a great episode too.
Do you know who directed this episode?
Who?
It was Michelle McLaren. What's her name? The director that was.
I don't know who that is, man.
McLaren.
Oh, I don't know who that is. I have no clue.
She was pinned to go ahead and direct Wonder Woman. She also directed Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones before. So her doing this actually made sense. She's done really great other shows before. That's the thing I'm pointing out.
No.
And
yeah.
so it's like, to her to do this, it made sense. And I gotta say, just from
I thought for sure you were going to say J.J. Abrams. Like you had hyped it up and you were like, you know who directed this? Michelle McLaren. Wait, who the fuck is Michelle McLaren?
I thought you would have definitely known who she was once I said it.
No,
I remember she was pinned to do Wonder Woman.
No, I never know.
Oh God, he even broke the story about her directing Wonder Woman.
I didn't.
Well, yeah, you did on Newsfeed.
I don't.
Okay.
Whatever.
Anyway,
do you guys know what the title is pretty much referencing?
The Well Tempered.
I know I talked to you yesterday about it. Well Tempered Clavier. Okay, pretty much it's a musical thing, and it was
we don't know what that means.
yeah, it was. It's a musical thing by Johann Sebastian Bach.
Oh yeah, you did tell me this yesterday.
Johann Sebastian Bach, where it's a way of tuning a piano so perfectly that when you do play different notes through, like E, A, B, G, D, F, or whatever, when you're playing the notes on different registers, they sound almost completely different, even though they are the same exact note. And that's something that happens where it's almost repetitious through music. For example, the Happy Birthday song. I can hum it without singing it, and we won't get sued.
We're not going to get sued anyways.
But it's, if you notice what
I
happens,
might get a copyright strike.
I
didn't think about that.
It's the same note, where it's like, and then it's, it's the same note, but high, low. It's all actually, when you read the music, it's the same exact note, but it's played.
Is it like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star kind of,
or something modern like Lady Gaga's that song Ra Ra.
I see what you're saying.
It's the same note, but it's played differently because it's so perfectly tuned that you don't even realize it's the same exact note. So the
you're
way
saying
it works,
like that someone most of the time you could tune a guitar in a lower register or a higher register.
Yes.
So that's what you're saying, that they're playing the same note and then the guitar is being tuned and then they're playing the same note.
Yeah.
What you're saying? Okay.
And that's the thing that it's like perfectly set up when it comes to that.
A fly to go through.
It's like a moth or something. I don't know. Maybe it's a bird.
Oh, like
If I
that
put my
song
hand
Janet
out.
Jackson. I got it. Moth to the Flame.
Moth to a flame. See, yeah. There you go. If it was a
I get
bird,
what
I
you're
could put
saying
my
now.
hand out, and then I
We
could tell you to
totally
have a
meant for that to
conversation.
happen.
We did.
So what is that? What is that reference then to Westworld's episodes?
Well, go ahead, Daniel. Why do you look at me like that? Like I don't know what I'm talking about.
Don't steal his thunder is what I'm trying to say.
So yeah, she's like, let him have something, all right? In relation to the
you
episode,
already have all your theories here. Let's imagine.
in relation to the episode, pretty much it's hosts are touching on their pasts. In some cases, this is not their first time doing it. For example, Bernard or Maeve, and yet when they are touching on it and they go through their past, they're doing the same exact thing, but it may be in different locations, it may be in different spaces. One, for example, would be Joe's theory. Can I just put that out now? Bernard, when he's getting recollection, and he says at one moment, we've had this conversation before. There's a theory that when he's coming to at different times, it's happening in different timelines.
And hey, our viewers let me down. I needed a timeline. I'm a visual person, and nobody gave it to me. I looked for those comments.
Did you?
Yeah.
She did. She wanted that timeline.
Yeah.
I actually was excited to see it. Like, I was like, oh, our fans are going to come through.
Why our next season we're going to get like a little chalkboard.
And string theory?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just have a little board that we put up, and you're going to see strings going here and there, connecting to everything. But we were hoping you guys would have done it for us. We really did, because that's a lot of work, and I'm going to have to do it in my soundproof basement.
Yeah, he's definitely
Don't pretend like you don't already have that
I
stuff.
already
Daniel.
have
Let's be
one.
real.
It's fine. But it's mine. I don't want everyone else to see it, you know? They're going to judge it and say, oh, well, you missed on this, you missed on that.
That's the point of the show.
Well, I don't need them to tell me.
All right, so the hosts are
so pretty much they're doing that, and they're having their moments of recollecting or remembering things in the past, but at different moments. It's kind of weird. It's all jumbled.
Yeah, definitely a whole jumbled.
That's kind of how it connects to this episode. But moving on from there, where do I want to really a big plot point? I know that everyone's
there's
right on
tons
the
of big plot
Arnold
points.
thing.
So last week we were left with the reappearance, the reemergence of Logan. Let's start there. Let's start with Logan.
You want to say his famous phrase?
What was his famous phrase?
You're fucked.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all he said.
It was Logan's reintroductory into the storyline. Last place we saw him was in the town of Pariah. And he was jailed. Essentially, he was taken away.
He was taken away.
And he asked William for help, and William pretty much was like, no, he's going on his own journey. And cut to, now this motherfucker is leading... Like
He's a marshal.
He's a marshal and leading a whole Union army, apparently.
Man.
So yeah, now Logan is a marshal.
Logan is a MFing marshal.
Yeah.
And who'd have thought? Because
he's the shiz.
He's not the archetype to be a marshal ever.
No.
And he comes in with literally guns a-blazing.
Yeah.
Figuratively, guns a-blazing. He comes in with his crew and he pretty much tells them what's going on. William, I'm not recapping, and I'm assuming if you're watching this far into this, you watched the episode. So I'm not going to recap it for you. But you pretty much know what happens in the interaction there. Now, the interesting thing there was the motivations between the two were very different, obviously. You had William, who was convinced that Dolores is different, and it still is. And then you had Logan, who was treats them all just like machines. But one reveal that we did get, though, because there is a point where Logan cuts open Dolores. Dolores is a version 1.
Right.
That
was my first notice,
you saw that right there. You saw the gears and everything.
But it made sense, though, because also Ford does tell us in past episodes that she is one of the first that have ever been created.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I don't really think they would upgrade anyway.
Stubbs was saying that she was one of the first. Remember that?
Right or wrong?
You don't think that she would have been recreated? Is that what you're trying to say?
I mean, listen, there's the theory going around, and here's the one thing about this show. I almost think I can say anything at this point, and it's still possible.
It could be possible.
It's possible.
Now, nothing, any of the theories.
Fun fact. Did you guys know that they shot a lot of the underground scenes at the Hawthorne Mall right up the street?
Yeah.
The underground scene?
The scenes where they go underground into not in the underground, but into the
that little weird bunker.
Oh, like the basement shots and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's all was shot here at the Hawthorne Mall. Fun fact. Fun fact.
You guys are full of fun facts. I got nothing.
Oh, what?
Well,
you're here to help.
I'm just kidding. But anyway, what was I talking about?
We were talking about how essentially
awesome
she's a generation
that's
one.
all the time.
She's
a generation one. She's a generation one host, which I don't necessarily. A lot of people out there have this theory that there's multiple Doloreses running around. I also believe that there were two. I'm less inclined to believe that now. I just think things are taking place now. Dolores is one of the only characters that timeline really jumps in her own scenes.
Yes.
So I've noticed now. This is all based on the timeline theory that there are different timelines. By the way,
wait.
Nothing's confirmed.
The theory that you're backing. How many timelines are there?
3. Well, technically 4.
Oh, I have mine. I'm backing is 3.
3, but
So it's
technically
like,
4. There's technically 4.
Okay, I can get that.
Because you're getting the timeline of, like I said, 35 years ago, 30 years ago, and now.
That's
But
what I
then
got.
you can also consider, oh man, there was another timeline where you can.
40 was thrown in there. A number.
want
Oh
to-
no! It was it was 35 years ago, a year after that, and then 30 years ago, and then
In
now.
the present.
Because
Okay.
there was that timeline where I think where Maeve clearly has a child. I think that's all a year after everything happens
Okay.
along the lines.
Well, Maeve has
ish.
she's only been the mistress
Madame for 10 years.
for 1 year.
Mhm.
That's what they said. So I mean, a year ago.
Oh, I'm
a
sorry.
year
I'm
ago
sorry.
she
That's
had
what I
a
meant to
family.
say. Not a year after the park opened. A
Yeah,
year before
yeah.
what we're seeing now.
right now.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I meant to say. Thank
Yeah.
you. But technically there are 4 timelines. Now, let's talk about Logan, 'cause I don't want to jump around because there's so many characters that
We'll get.
it's really
into-
focused on. I mean, let's cut it down to what it is. It focused on Logan. It focused on Logan and William,
Mhm.
Dolores heavily,
Mhm.
Bernard or
Arnold.
Bernardold,
Yes,
Bernardold,
Bernardold.
Ford.
Bernardold and Ford.
Yeah, it focused really around those characters. Everybody else
And-
kind of
and-
played a minor.
And
And-
Man in Black.
Oh, and Teddy and the Man in Black.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we really addressed everyone for the first time in one episode.
Not everyone, but we addressed a
Mhm.
lot of people. Who are we missing?
We don't know what happens to Stubb, like in his part to it. I still think that he has a very key. There's there's something that's going to be revealed to us maybe in episode 10.
Oh, we don't. I'm sorry to cut
Yeah,
you off.
that's fine.
We don't know what happens to the guy that's creating all the storylines. What's his name?
Sylvester?
No,
Sizemore.
Oh, Sizemore and Charlotte.
And
but we
Sylvester
did- but we
and
did see Charlotte.
and
Sylvester and Felix, we don't know.
Felix.
either.
Yeah.
But you were saying about
Sorry,
Stubbs.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I think that I still like I thought with my theory maybe last week or the week before, which I just think that he is playing a different role. Like that he's gonna be some type of climax. There's just gonna be some type of pivotal point that he's gonna be discovering something. And because even like back to the very beginning of our first episode, he takes a gun and Bernard is like, "Why are you taking a gun?" And he said, "Have you never had kids before?" And he's
Right.
like, "They rebel." And so I just like gosh, like the first episode really has so many foreshadowing things that
Oh, yeah,
happen later, and
yeah.
you just forget about it. Like if I was to go back now and watch episode 1, I think that like we really would have led on to so many things. Also, another thing, like there's all these little holes, and I'm sure like we'll touch on them at the end, but. What about one of our Bernard? Remember, he whispers something into Peter Abernathy's ear, like
Yes,
in the very beginning,
and Abernathy cries like there's a tear.
and so
I
I'm
need
just
to know.
like I'm trying to figure out like what about all the other little bitty holes that haven't been
I mean,
answered?
are we confirming that? Because at that point, that is Bernard and not Arnold talking
Yeah.
to him.
Yeah.
But so more,
Or is it though? I mean, I'd have to go
Mm.
back and watch it because if he's putting that into his ear, that's the genesis of Arnold planning something in people's heads.
Well, but the thing is, that's Abernathy going into cold storage.
True.
And then later, Abernathy is in cold storage in the present time, and
Charlotte
Charlotte
comes
comes out with Sizemore. And
But no,
picks him
is it
to go.
Abernathy going into cold storage? Because I thought that they took him out, like tried to repair him, and that's where they gave him the what is it called, the
Reveries.
reveries, and then they put him back in, and then he freaks out because he sees the picture again.
No, they took him out as soon as he
Yeah,
freaked out
they
with the
took him out
picture
with the picture.
because he was like glitching, like he wasn't fixable almost.
Oh yeah, maybe you're right.
And
I
they
could have
re-
swore
and
they
they
put him back
retired
in.
him.
What?
It was twice. They pulled him out because he was freaking out.
Yeah.
They put him back into the park.
They put him back into the park, yes,
And then pulled him out.
and then
And
pulled
then
him out
pulled him
again.
out.
Yeah.
But when they put him back in, when they put him in the cold storage, and he whispers in his ear, that was the last time we saw Abernathy.
Okay.
Until now, and the reason for that was because that was
So then
Right,
that was
Abernathy.
Bernard, is what we're saying. That was
Yeah.
Bernard talking to him, and not Arnold.
yeah.
Because it seems to me the way that the show opens, at the very opening of the show, episode 1,
Uh-huh.
that is Arnold talking to Dolores.
You
I
know what
believe
this-
that is true.
You know what this reminded me of? Do you guys remember iRobot with Will Smith?
No, I didn't see
Yes,
You
I
didn't
love that
see
movie.
it?
Love that movie.
Well, if anybody else has, and you have too,
Mhm.
and I'm sorry to be a spoiler if you didn't see it, but Will Smith is on the track of believing that this robot killed the main guy, the main owner.
Yes.
But everybody else is saying that no, because that would go against the first 3 laws that is instilled completely in the robots.
Mhm.
And at the end of the movie, you come to find out that like the robot actually did kill the main guy, but for his reasonings were that the creator made him kill him. He made him do it so that it could take this chain reaction to have Will Smith, who he knew would be onto him, find like these little breadcrumbs and be onto the whole board of people. And so there was kind of like that same idea I was thinking that was happening with Westworld, where Arnold, because it says that Dolores is like, why can't you help me? He's like, you know why? And she's like, oh, that's right, I killed you. So I feel like maybe Arnold, that was like something was as along those lines,
those
where like
same
maybe
lines?
he was on to Ford for something. So which was back like was my theory like from a while ago. It's been altered a little bit, but the same mentality that like Arnold was onto something and has programmed all these like backdoor things in these robots.
You know, the real big
Ooh.
question of this episode that everyone's overlooking is when the fuck did Logan become the Hand of the King? Did you not see the
Did you
Hand of
see
the King thing on
He's
his?
like, I don't know, or something like,
Like that's
that.
legit, like a Game of Thrones thing.
That is. I saw it and I was like, wait a minute, what the?
Right, and because he mentions that, like, again, we're completely just jumping off of that theory I just had, but
I'm sorry.
No, I
I'm
mean,
like totally killing. Who's Teddy now?
I gotta say though, I do like her theory. I do love.
No, it
your
makes a lot
theory.
of sense.
Because
I mean,
it does make sense. He leaves them, like you said, the back door, the crumbs, and everything for someone else to eventually follow,
What
which
theory?
apparently seems to be Dolores. And there you go. That matches all up for him to say, "Hey, this is how I really died. This is why I died." And through that, you'll be able to find out a whole lot of other things concerning possibly Ford's corruption, the board's corruption, or whatever. That's smart. I like that.
maybe.
Hmm.
oh,
but
maybe
that's
you
also-
can have one of these theories right for a change, Maverick. I'm just kidding.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you know what's so funny is that they always, I feel like every time that we try to think outside of the box and. Or mainly me, I will take fault. I am always the one that's like, no, it can't be that easy. So I'm always thinking of something else.
It's funny. This is
It ends up being true.
well. It's so funny because I remember when you and I we were watching the second episode, and then we were walking, and you had said something to me. You were like, "Man, it's crazy that because you and I prepare for this very differently. Like you're all like, you analyze it." And I was telling you, it's like, oh, I don't do that. I just watch the thing and I just say what I think. But it's so funny because now it's like, oh, well, that I was just calling it, like like how I saw it. I can see the future, guys. No, but realistically,
Guy.
like the cool thing that we're seeing though is, but it's so I will agree with a lot of people out there that say that it can get a little murky to deal with.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of different things you have to kind of keep track of.
Yeah.
Right.
For example, episode 8, let's be real, guys. We all kind of like didn't know what we were watching. It was out there.
No.
It didn't seem I felt personally like I missed a complete episode. Whereas this, it kind of like everything started making sense. Now, Westworld is doing a really good job at it, but it's doing this nonetheless. It's giving us pieces of a puzzle.
Yeah.
But it's trying to be like, oh well, here's a piece, and it's supposed to fit here. A great example is when we see the picture of who we thought at the time was Arnold and Ford. We're like, oh, we haven't seen this guy,
Yes.
Right.
but now it makes sense, right? It completely makes sense
Right.
why we saw that. But I mean, it was laid out there for us, but we just see the show's doing something interesting. It's showing us it's showing us the point of view to be a host and to be a human.
Yeah.
Because we're seeing what Bernard saw.
No, we're seeing what Ford wants us to see. He's treating us like hosts as viewers. As soon as he unlocks it in for the show, it's unlocking it for us.
Okay.
So I think it's almost like an interactive experience where we're almost getting treated like hosts.
I like that actually. That's not bad.
I mean, you can think about it. And when we see Bernard first confront Ford about Arnold, and he shows him the picture and tells him the story, we only see what we wanted Ford to tell us to see.
But wouldn't you think that we were just seeing it through Bernard's eyes?
No, I think we're seeing it as a complete eyes of a host, of the way that any host would that has this limited knowledge. For example, when we first get into Westworld, we know who is a host and who is real. The only person that's kind of questionable even there is the Man in Black. But it's blurring the lines. But it makes it pretty clear on who we know is to be a host and who we know is to be a human. And as the show progressed, we learned who more hosts are, or vice versa. So it's almost like we're discovering this about ourselves and unlocking it, because I think we're looking at this through the eyes of host the whole time, and and the creators Lisa Joy and Jonathan Nolan are treating us as such.
Okay.
Dude.
So is that why
I literally
it's
just made all that up.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you
Beautiful.
believe it? Or
Yes,
no? Okay.
absolutely.
So you're saying that's why we're missing these timelines where we keep feeling that there's these.
Well, it's
holes
almost
happening.
like when Ford puts Bernard in that trance and he's like, "Take me back. I want to see everything."
Right.
We're doing that to ourselves with the show.
Mhm.
We're seeing different timelines play out. It's almost like we're in those trances and trying to piece it together as you would.
Well, I feel that I'm definitely going to feel that way when I do my rewatch.
Right.
No joke. I feel that when I do a rewatch, I'm going to be like, wait a minute. How did I not notice this? Wait.
That's my
no,
point.
no. And then I'm going to want to tell everyone, but it's like, the show's...
But we already did all of
and
our
I'm
comments.
just yelling at home.
No, but
by myself.
realistically, I mean, if you really think about it and take a step back and try, the creators of this show are Ford. We are hosts.
Yeah.
And we are watching it through the host's eyes. We are watching it through their eyes. You know what I mean? So we're getting everything unlocked just as hosts would.
Yeah.
Which is really an interesting concept if you really think about it. But anyway, back to Logan, because we didn't even wrap up that. Pretty much what happens is William, or he pretty much, he doesn't necessarily, he tortures? What's the word I'm looking for? He, cuts her in
He
stomach.
He fillets her
and shows him, listen, she's a
Guts
robot.
are like-
You know what I mean? And she
like a fish.
she kind of, or he hugs him, they embrace, have this quote unquote brotherly moment.
Mhm.
And then after that, William goes crazy. I mean, they go to sleep fine.
Yeah, okay.
That we
okay,
notice.
Okay,
But he does tell
tells her-
Dolores to run away
Yeah,
after
he
he kills.
Says that he'll find her.
He
Yeah.
kills a couple of the guys, and he says that he'll find her.
But William, man, I feel sorry for William at moments, because that's just like, man, okay, here goes something that I'm enjoying here at the park, and here comes Logan to come and ruin it. Like Logan has to be that bully that comes and ruins everything. Oh, look, she's a robot, blah blah.
Is it kind of like the
causing
kid
her
that
pain,
tells
sending
the
her
other
away.
kid that Santa Claus isn't real?
Yes, that's exactly what it was. Take away my faith and my hope. Like, that's literally what he did right there. And then from there, he does show him the picture of Juliet to remind him,
See, now this is important, though.
Oh, the picture.
Yes, the picture is very important. This is where I was getting to with all this.
Because he shows the picture of Juliet.
And that's the same picture that Abernathy finds.
Right. And
It's been aged, it's been withered. You see that difference right there. And so, and Abernathy finds it there on the park. So, is that pointing back to Man in Black, William?
I think so. I mean, I think that's the only big reveal that we haven't gotten yet, the William Man in Black theory.
And then the eeriness of when William tells Logan to not call him Billy anymore. That's where I was like,
Yes.
That's a good one, too.
I
yeah.
agree.
Mhm.
I agree. Call me Billy. But it's like, so should he call you William?
But, our producer, Josh, he did bring up a point that when the massacre happened that William ensued upon Logan's Union Army, there was a mix between first gen and other generation hosts there.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that was it was the current host, because I can't really distinguish that, but it was definitely different versions of hosts there.
mhm.
Oh, yeah.
And now, here's another thing too. We also know that Logan got cut in the face,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so he was able to
Dolores.
be harmed.
By Dolores.
You can be
By Dolores.
harmed, but you just can't. Remember, the Good Samaritan thing is so that they don't kill you. And they'll, if something happens, you are shot and you're actually bleeding out, they'll work to try to repair you, all that stuff. That Good Samaritan kind of protocol kicks in. But they can harm you. They can definitely harm you. I mean, if they can
that
shoot
makes
you with
sense
those pellets,
because
and they can hurt you.
beat
Yeah.
him up. But it makes sense that they should be able to give you a little cut if they
Yeah.
can bash your head and knock you out, and
All right, well, let's answer this once and for all, because right now we're at the end of the line with William. Is he the Man in Black?
Yes.
I still want to like hold on and think it's not that easy. I will not be fooled.
So you're saying no.
I
The
mean,
problem
he
is
probably is.
I do
So
get
now
that,
you're
though,
saying
because
yes.
I do get that because the thing is the show is so smart and that's something so easy that everyone has said. It's kind of like because it's so easy, maybe it's not the case, but
Arnold is Bernard.
Yeah, Arnold Bernard was something everyone said.
Bernardo.
But it has to be with the way they reveal it to us.
Yeah.
That was the way that it was revealed to us.
Here was the tell though. I mean, if it, I don't want to say it's going to be a letdown, but they definitely planted the seeds that these two characters are the same. But Jimmy Simpson did come out and say that this is not, those two characters are different. Like they're not the same character. Well, he came out and said that. Of course, he's a company man. He's probably saying that.
No. But think about it. They are different.
No, he said that those two are not the same character.
He said that William and the Men in Black are not.
See,
yes, but technically, I guess that could be true because they had a character morph.
I can say that from exactly. I can say that from a writer's standpoint. Oh, they're not the same character. There is a change that happens that makes them into someone completely.
Or maybe
different.
the quote was they're not the same person.
Still,
it was something like that. Yeah, I mean, I guess any way you slice it, it can be the case. But you're saying that yes-ish.
I would rather say yes and be wrong than to say no and be wrong.
That what?
Okay, I get it. No, I get it. But I'm saying, come on now. All the things are lining up. Man in Black says that his wife says that what he did in the park makes him something different. And, she can't take it anymore. She kills herself. The daughter says that he's different now.
Okay, so I'm going to also say yes, that they are the same. So let's put that storyline to rest. Let's move on to...
Back to Bernard being like Arnold. Do you want to talk about that one?
Sure, that's a huge reveal.
Yeah. I mean, it's a huge reveal. It's something big.
Yeah.
My thing is, Bernard going through that entire journey was like a mix of Pinocchio finding out that he's not a real boy and Frankenstein finding out that he is literally just a monster. Like, just a hodgepodge of other people's bodies. Like, it was so sad to see, but it was so good. Like, every bit of it going through.
Did any of you guys feel bad for Bernard? You did?
Yeah.
Maverick?
I feel bad for him how?
Did you
Did you sympathize
with him? You're heartless.
I just don't know that I thought about it like that. I guess I see him as having a bigger picture because, again, back to kind of like the theory that I had.
He only had a smaller one. Remember when he showed it?
Yeah, it was just really small. It was like right.
All right, look. Listen.
I don't see anything.
Back what door?
What door?
So back to like the idea of this is kind of like the leaving the breadcrumbs. Arnold was leaving these breadcrumbs. I think that because in the way that Ford is making Bernard, he's making him with so much sensitivity and caringness. Like, no, when he put his glasses on, he's like, no, he didn't do it like that. He would clean them like as if almost in thought and then put them on.
That was so cool.
That
was so cool.
All right, so I have a theory about this.
What?
Okay.
Wait, let me finish mine because you always interrupt me.
Yes.
I'm going to finish this. So, my thought is that with that being said, then I think that maybe, again, Ford was against Arnold in some type of way and was either plotting to have him killed or something was going to happen. And so instead, maybe Arnold programmed Dolores to do that, to kill him. And so there's just, like, it's just like that's kind of my theory was that these breadcrumbs are happening, and that's why Ford is kind of taking more of a pity on Bernard/Arnold because he didn't kill him himself, and so he's bringing him back. He's like, welcome back, partner, and like wants to bring him around. And so that's why, again, it just kind of maybe puts into my theory that Arnold was onto Ford in some way and had Dolores kill him, and then maybe somehow put his same thoughts or
I have the reverse theory actually.
What's that?
Not necessarily, but you brought up a lot of great points.
Thanks. Here you go to shoot them down.
No. But so what possibly could have happened is actually, I think Ford really looked up to Arnold in a way. And I think more so Dolores killing, because Arnold was along this path of having these hosts be more sentient and giving them, their own decisions.
Right.
He wanted everything.
And he wanted the park to be for the host. Dolores mentions that to
exactly.
Logan.
I almost think that Ford isn't. I don't necessarily think that they were feuding per se. I know this show leads us to believe kind of, but I don't. There's a chance that maybe that wasn't the case. Okay. Maybe once the board took a hold of it, they said, no, Arnold's out of line. We got to get rid of him, and pretty much did what they did with the hosts, and then in that they had, I think the board possibly could have had Arnold killed, and that's why Ford wanted to recreate Arnold in Bernard's image ish. But I also think that plays into a bigger plot line. Like I said that the new narrative is going to be in the headquarters. I'm telling you.
I hear these words, and for some reason, it doesn't look like anything to me. That's all I'm saying. When I hear it, doesn't. I don't.
Okay.
I mean, we still have.
But listen. Hear me out. I think that the new narrative is going to be played in the headquarters, and I think the body that we saw, Ford creating. Obviously, I don't think it was Teresa. I think it was his. I think he was making himself, because he wants to lead this rebellion, and he's trying to put himself. And this is what he's doing. He's learning everything he can from Bernard. He even says himself, his whole speech with Bernard is about about how flawed humans are. So I think he's trying to make the perfect version of himself. And also he's learning from Bernard, because he states that very clearly. He's like, I've learned so much from you about doing this. And I think the reason why he's doing that is to learn how to make himself and to lead this rebellion, including Maeve and all these other people, I think. And also, by the way, last week I did say that Maeve was going to control Bernard.
I was going to bring this up. I was going to bring this up and be the bigger man. I was going to be the bigger man and say, you know what? I told JoJo was wrong once already, and I was wrong for saying it, because when I did, here comes Joe to show me that I was definitely wrong. We opened up the episode with Maeve doing exactly what I thought she shouldn't do, which is stop Bernard, and pretty much also mention to him too, we've had this conversation before. We've gone through this before.
But that's my point. This is why I think, in essence, that Maeve is going to... The new narrative is Maeve leading this army against humans and other hosts and whatever. Maeve is trying to find sentient beings. And I think to an extent Bernard was too, maybe even Ford, but I think that's the new narrative.
I agree. I think the main highlights, the bulk of the theories and the holes that they were answered, but there's still so many little bitty rabbit holes, I think, that haven't been answered. About we still haven't found out, or it hasn't been revealed to us, that the headquarters are made up of a lot of hosts, and who is host and who is not. Maeve's role in her rebellion, and who she's got, because she takes her and Hector. Who's the
Hector?
Is it
Maeve takes Hector?
He's the
the Desperado.
The Desperado with the slash on his face.
Yes.
Yeah.
She takes him, and
they're going to hell.
And and they're obviously going back to headquarters, and so she's recruiting these people. What is Stubbs' role going on in
I have a theory about that too.
Yeah.
So I think Elsie got away.
Okay.
I think Elsie got away from Bernard, and I think that she's the one that programmed the people that are colored like that. I think it took her a while, but I think, because we don't know the timeline between this.
Okay.
Right.
I think it took her a while, and I think she programmed them to grab Stubbs. They don't kill Stubbs; they just grab him. He doesn't stop.
Only abduct,
and I think
that
they just abduct him so they can kind of reconnect and say, "Hey, this is what's going on."
Okay, and now but then other small storylines are with still don't know where Sizemore, where is he at going on in this?
Well,
and then
how is Sizemore going to take Abernathy out of the park. I know she said, all right, get him on the train. That's what she wants him to do. But the problem is, with that whole idea that she told him to do, he has the C4 inside of vertebrae C6. Like, and the only way to get it out, they said, and they made it clear when they said it, but unless they were lying to Maeve, they said the only way to get it out is you're going to have to do a complete rebuild. Mm-hmm. If you're going to do a rebuild, just make one without the C4 and just get that one out of the park. But they want to do that. So is that something that, and you have to think about it, why would the story writer know about that? And why would a board member know about the C4 inside of the vertebrae? So they don't know. I want to know what's going to happen when they try to get him out of the park. And is that train going to explode when they try to get him out of the park with all that data?
I also like the fact that Teresa interrupts the Man in Black.
Oh, that was cool. That was cool.
That was a great scene.
Wait,
that was so
Teresa
cool.
I'm sorry, Charlotte.
Charlotte,
yeah.
that's
what I meant to say, Charlotte.
She's like, how many times? And he recognizes her. How many times I told you not to interact with Charlotte?
Oh, gosh. I loved it. Their whole interaction was great. And then she tells him, well, this is what needs to be done as far as what's happening with the board.
Yeah,
Look,
and he pretty much is like, listen,
out.
if you guys want to take out Ford, I don't care either way. Like, he could stay, he could go. I'm just on a different path.
Yeah.
And
Which is another unanswered thing that the host, what's the host's name? The one that, like, kills off Teddy.
But that makes even more sense, though.
Oh, the girl?
She talks about, she goes, the maze is not for you.
The maze isn't for you. But that makes more sense to me, though, that even more so that the Man in Black is William, is because we see William fall in love with Dolores, essentially. And, you know, now he's kind of, and this is what I did talk to Kelly about this, that I don't think he raped her. I definitely think he was trying to make her remember. Can we talk about the Teddy Wyatt situation?
But before we do, though, I have to bring up something concerning Dolores. Producer Josh actually sent me a note. I gotta make sure I do share it. He did mention something that's a good point, which is, did Ford possibly cover up Dolores killing Arnold to protect what Arnold was doing, but hates her for doing so?
Well, that's a great point. I don't know about that, but you can see it makes so much sense now why Ford hated or had that look on Dolores when he saw her, and he's like, I wouldn't say we're friends. I wouldn't say that at all. And he's like, grabs her and he's like, you know, you've been in your pathetic little loop. Like, You're hurting me. Like that whole scenario. Now we know why that happened is because I think obviously he holds a little resentment from her because she killed Arnold.
Yeah.
And this is what my whole thing was. I almost feel that Ford was a protege, essentially, to Arnold. That would make he was a protege, especially age-wise. He was Arnold's protege. And this is why he took it so offensively. This is why I also don't think they were against each other necessarily. Yeah, I think he's trying to carry on Arnold's work. But Arnold is, he's doing this home programming thing. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying anymore. It's Westworld, man.
Right. So now you wanted to know about Teddy Wyatt.
Yeah, you were saying Teddy Wyatt. Yeah.
You looked at him. Okay.
Well, because we already covered mine. Let's go right into that.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that you were clear.
Yeah, Teddy is Wyatt, homie.
He could be, but then why does he have a sheriff badge on him?
Because I think it was a different narrative. Just the same reason why how did Maeve have a kid and she became a hooker?
Yeah.
Wow.
or a lady of the house or whatever you want to call it. Whatever.
I know. I guess I was assuming that he would have just put on the clothes that we keep seeing that is Wyatt.
Here's my the best. Listen, this is just it's not even a theory per se. It's just my observation. Is what I think happened is that Ford was like, Teddy, the reason why we never gave you a backstory, because I think, what if Teddy was Wyatt originally? Okay. And all that stuff happened where Teddy, because it was like, that was 35 years ago when that happened. When we see him mow everybody down with Armadillo Justice. Oh, you live tired there, Maverick? Live tired there?
I'm tired of hearing you say Armadillo Justice.
So
I just knew it was coming.
What if his name was Wyatt, and then and then obviously Ford remembers that, and Arnold would have too. That happens. It's a tragic thing for the park because people could have died. It was a setback for sure. Okay. And then what if?
Wait, so you're saying Wyatt led a rebellion back then? That was the incident?
No, I think that's a hodgepodge of a backstory mixed with a real life event.
Okay.
So I think that what happened was that when Ford was creating this backstory, he remembered what Teddy / Wyatt did, that day that he mows everybody down, that he delivers some armadillo justice. And then after that, he's like, you know what, I'm just going to make this a story. Because I honestly think that Teddy could have been the first one that was kind of enlightened because he was like, Wyatt came back and he was talking about some pretty out there things, some pretty weird things.
And then he shares it with him.
Right. So I think think that
reality.
Teddy could have been one of the first ones, and they thought that they kind of, and also the messenger of all this, because Teddy or Wyatt, I should say, was one of the first ones kind of spreading this out there.
Right.
And I honestly think that some of them remembered him from that. Like the woman that we, the host that we first meet, that I should say William first meets and that ends up with the Man in Black, then ends up killing Teddy. I think that she's one of them.
He's not ready.
He's not ready.
He's going to lead us.
Right, and he was going to lead us, and I think that was Teddy. Because he's not ready, and they need to kill him again in order for them to remember.
Wow, that
was really convoluted. Sorry, people watching.
I'm going to try to clear some of it up. So Wyatt's band pretty much already knows that Teddy is Wyatt. They need to bring him back so he can remember it. They're living outside of a narrative. They are already enlightened, essentially. All this is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay.
I wouldn't say fully enlightened, though.
Well, to an extent.
But I would definitely say to an extent, yes.
To an extent.
I also think, that's one of the closest scenarios we have. I do think that Teddy is Wyatt. Or it could be a new character change where he's turning into Wyatt.
Some big shoes to fill, man. As far as him being Wyatt. I mean, man, that's a lot.
Hey, man, he's the leader of the X-Men. He can do whatever the goddamn he wants.
Well, I mean, it makes sense with that, but it also makes sense, like, they're supporting lines where it would support him not being it, because whenever the Men in Black, there's multiple, the Man in Black and Teddy first enter the site, and then they get recognized because one of the soldiers recognizes Teddy and goes, hey, that's Teddy such and such. I wouldn't forget a face, like he's Wyatt's right hand man.
Because I think they're all programmed to think that.
Right, but then that would be the only thing. Then they're going off of the narrative that even Teddy was programmed.
The one thing that throws off, not even throws off its theory, but actually confirms it a little bit more, is that because they said that Wyatt was the commanding officer in this, he was the sergeant. Yeah. But Teddy had the sergeant's jacket on. Which he had the exact same jacket on as Wyatt. So that's what makes me feel that he is Wyatt.
But my thing is, there are so many people that have referred
Daniel,
to
you're the
Wyatt.
same guy that last time told me that Bernard wasn't going to get controlled by Maeve.
I am, but I'm also the guy that's saying right now there are a lot of people that referred to Wyatt saying that they've seen him and they saw Teddy with him. Not, oh, hey, I saw Wyatt and Wyatt only.
Listen.
Remember, that whole people that he mowed down, very conveniently.
I think there's a... Listen, I'm not saying
these two people together.
But at the same time, I think the Maeve that we see with the kid is not the same Maeve that we see... I mean, they're the same host,
same host,
but they're not the same...
They're not the same as
For example, if they saw Maeve with that kid... and they see Maeve at that house, the host, they're not going to know.
So they're not the same person.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you're saying the same thing with Wyatt.
Exactly.
But the only thing is that they said they saw him with, not just, Wyatt.
No, they said they saw him with Wyatt's group. They didn't say they saw him with Wyatt.
Nice. Okay.
I told her. I'm a new believer.
Look at that. I like that. I need comments below, though, as soon as possible. I need you guys at this moment, just right at the timestamp, and say if you agree or disagree.
Well, it's interesting, though, because I'm really curious, because it almost seems like when we see Teddy for the first time, when we see the first episode of Westworld, it almost looks like a fresh, new Teddy coming straight off the boat, a.k.a. train, and is in that town, like, he almost looks like a man that's back from where he's been.
Well, and that was his story.
And that's his story.
That's right.
So I'm just saying that, it just seems like we're moving in that direction to either lead up to that moment or that, I don't know, but it just seems like it's the narrative that we're getting.
We'll get the fill-in for that whole stuff that gets some stuff. I like it. All right. I'm stepping in. How's the phrase go?
Yeah, we said it earlier.
What's it go?
You're smelling what I'm
stepping in.
Yeah, I'm smelling what you're stepping in, buddy.
Okay, here's the other thing though. Where would the timeline be though that Teddy is Wyatt?
Like, because what you mean the first time? I think it happened 35 years ago.
Okay, because then the host talks to him that you're not ready. And she's talking to Teddy with the man in black there, which we are saying that is now.
Currently, yes.
So I guess I thought you were just saying just now that you thought that Teddy, when he comes back from the train.
Well, I mean, that could all have happened. Listen, granted, that could also all have happened, we'll say, in the now timeline.
Yeah.
Whereas in the past timeline where Teddy was Wyatt, could have been 30, 35 years ago. But, I mean, listen, it's getting crazy. Because I wish I did have, those, string theories.
I know. We need some visual aids.
But I think that it's possible. There's two ways to look at it. Either that this all happened and he was Teddy then, and then Ford's like, well, now you're morphing into a new character, which is going to be Wyatt, or Arnold unlocked the Wyatt side of him. Or he used to be Wyatt and now he's Teddy and he's letting all that go. He's like, Teddy, you never really had a backstory. Well, maybe it's because your backstory was really Wyatt's. Just saying. It's possible.
I love it. I love it. I'm sorry. I'm holding on to that. That's all. I'm building it all, holding on to it.
Hey, I've been right before, guys. You guys are gonna
seriously. So
clearly we need to get to episode 10 sooner rather than later.
We need to get to episode 10 and somehow prove him wrong.
But no, I mean, listen, there's been a lot of theories I've been wrong about too, though. It's not like because I mean, one of the theories I'm holding to and hasn't been confirmed nor denied is that the technicians are hosts.
Right.
Yeah.
It's one of the ones that I had. Obviously, a lot of them came true in this episode. But I also was the one that said Ford was Arnold. So
that is true.
I was completely wrong there. Obviously,
you did say Maeve would control.
I did say Maeve was going to control Bernard. I also did say the new narrative is going to be at the headquarters.
Yeah.
/ off planet because I think it's Mars. Yeah. See,
I read a theory where someone's like it's underwater. There was there's a sky there, man. And
but in their comments, sky.
Yeah, I was gonna say that someone did point that out in the comments. Atlantis has a sky, and then also it could be in a dome underneath the water, like how Truman Show, and how it's just painted sky. And I was like, oh god.
Wouldn't it be? It's gonna be hilarious if that's right, though. Then you're gonna feel like an idiot.
I was like, get off my feet! I can't deal with this right now. This is not freaking. Well, because they also said that BioShock was a very big influencer on this.
BioShock the video game?
Yeah, BioShock the video game. And BioShock the video game, not Infinite, BioShock Infinite, but the original BioShock was underwater, in a dome under the water.
I do have a question for you guys. Yeah. So we did get to see Bernard's, obviously, a lot of his backstory. Teresa was a host.
No. People keep saying no.
She froze. I think that was just
him, his way of recalling it. It was.
I'm not saying either way. I just didn't know. I was unclear.
It was just a lucid. It's like a lucid dream. You know how they say in a lucid dream you can control.
Yeah. Have you ever had a lucid dream before? They're trippy.
I've had one. Will not.
You've had one?
Yeah. This one I'm in right now.
She's like, oh yeah, right now. But no, it was just a lucid dream. That's why he was like, go, leave us, and disappear, and they were gone and all that. That's the whole thing. So if you guys are of that school of thought saying Teresa was a host, no.
Do you think?
What could be still?
Do you think that Bernard really shot himself?
Yes.
You do? Because they do it. They're really clever about always doing things off camera.
I mean, we see a body fall to the ground. I mean, I guess it could be.
Did we? I don't think we did. I think
you
we
do
just
see
saw
it in the background. You see a flash and then a body fall to the ground.
Oh, I thought I just saw a. You saw a flash and that was it.
I gotta see if that was Bernard's body that fell or was it Clementine.
It could be.
But I think it was Bernard's body that fell, but I don't know for sure.
Just saying, that would also.
But that was so messed up.
That would be you guys.
That was a great scene, though.
But the moment where he calls out to him and he doesn't Robert, it was just. Oh, that hurt, man. That hurt so much. It was just a last ditch effort.
But is this
question was that Bernard reaching out to him, or was that Arnold?
Well, this almost seems like because he was. You got to think reverse is that he was the master. Arnold was the master, and the pupil was Ford. Now the situations have completely reversed.
Right. Oh man.
So it is kind of trippy. I love this episode though.
If you think about it, though, episode 10, the last episode is going to probably shove a lot of information. I mean,
I don't think so.
I think in a minute way. Like it'll all line up. I think it'll be like a domino effect so it's not a lot of information. It'll just all kind of line up.
Let's
But
have a little fun with this.
I'm
Let
done
me say
having
this.
fun with the show.
Let me say so. Maverick, pick one theory. Doesn't matter. Just anything. Throw it out there. What do you think's gonna happen? Hold that thought though.
Well, luckily, I think we just heard that the finale is going to be an hour and a half. So it would make sense that all of these things, the little rabbit holes that we've been given, would be answered. Because I was thinking, man, an hour, I don't think that it would do it. We would kind of be left, like when you take a midterm test or a final and you just kind of like have your brain throw up on the paper
Right.
and then you leave and you feel like what had just happened. I was afraid that's what it was going to be like. Okay, so a theory I would stick with is that I feel like I don't know necessarily that what the conflict, if there was one between Arnold and Ford, but I think, and for some reason, Arnold has left these breadcrumbs in certain hosts, including Dolores. I think that he programmed maybe Dolores to kill him for some way that it would chain react something else to happen. There's that, and then and my theory is still that Stubbs is going to be playing a key role and being the one that discovers what's happening in the backstory.
Oh, I like that. Stubbs host or not host?
Not host.
Okay.
Jeez. For mine, I think.
Why don't you save yours for last? Because you're like the host of the show. I'll go next.
Oh God, he's probably gonna steal mine.
No, I doubt it.
Go for it.
So, when you log onto the website, the computer program that helps you out, its name is Aiden.
Yep. Next
week, we will see Aiden as a physical host. That physical host is going to be Ford.
You think Ford's a host?
I think Ford is the Ford that he's creating himself
Aiden.
is going to be Aiden.
Okay.
Because IMDb does have Aiden in the next episode.
Yeah.
So, and Aiden is the AI that helps you on the website that answers all your questions. I think that character is going to end up being the Ford Avatar-ish character.
Jeez. God. That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh, I got chills. That's a good one.
It could be wrong completely, though.
My idea, I think we're going to end the episode. We're going to... Somehow somebody's gonna be on the ridge at the top. We're gonna pull back even farther. It's gonna be like Truman Show, and we're on Mars. Mars, bitches, Mars. That's what I think.
That's possible. It's definitely possible.
That's what I think. That's what I expect.
I think you probably have the most grounded and most like accurate of like that's gonna happen. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that you're probably the most accurate so far, but we'll see.
Mine is the most left wing, most ridiculous thing out there.
No, but other people. But the thing is like our viewers, everybody is so good about when I've gone back and looked at their comments. Everybody, and I guess maybe it's because they've been going onto the Westworld website and have been educating themselves, and so they've been right all along with saying that it was Arnold. There's been the theories of Mars, and so
hey, I got to give me and my boy credit to you, Scott, for me and Scott had in our office talk about Westworld every day to the point where when we don't want to answer something, we say, "What door?" Like, I don't see anything. Every single day. But credit to him. But we go on the internet when we should be working, and like figure out a lot of this stuff. But credit to the people that had Arnold Weber, because whoever put that together, the Bernard whatever his name was, and put together the Arnold Weber thing. Bernard Lowe and Arnold Weber, amazing job, because that came out like almost instantly as the show came out.
We had a comment where it was K. Richard J. and he said it.
K. Richard J. Kudos to you.
And we pointed out, and you're like, "Where'd you get?
Well, where did you get Weber? I mean, that's the thing.
I don't know, but everyone had it, and I was like, "Where's everyone getting it from?" I don't remember. I watched the episode again. I didn't hear Weber.
I was waiting for whenever Bernard came off the table and he goes, "Who am I?" And he goes, "Well, you're Bernard." I was hoping he'd give him a last name just to like kind of confirm what one of our comments were.
Yeah, and
but
it
he
was
didn't
like,
give him one. So
I gotta say though, just to bring this up though, the imagery as far as Maeve and Hector when they're going to die, and she says,
that.
"Well, we're
it's
gonna
easy
go
to get into hell."
Yeah, and then boom,
hard part.
fire, and I was like, "Oh, come on, okay, I get this."
The symbolism in that was really cool.
It was so good, and that was great. And a lot of people were asking the question, "Well, so what's gonna happen now? The fire, where are they gonna go?" Well, of course, you're burned alive, you're dead. So what happens now? You go back.
The only bad thing is she can't feel it. He can.
Exactly, yeah. So they're going to go back and they'll rebuild, and then she'll wake him up again. And
Felix will obviously get him. And
let's go do some stuff, and, let's do some hood rat stuff. And then that's what they'll do. So that's what we already know. Yeah, and we know that's what's going to happen. We'll do some hood rat stuff.
Listen, I'm excited about this next episode. I mean, I'm figuring we're going to get the conclusion of who the Man in Black is. Mm-hmm. I don't think that'll be lingering. Said.
I mean, they finally meet. After a long time, after like almost episode 2.
I wouldn't say meet, but they could end up becoming the same. They might be the same person. The Man in Black and William.
I meant more.
Dolores.
Oh, yeah, Dolores. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And they're finally countering back each other from the.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Ask a question. I want to know if you guys feel the same way. Arnold's shop is the center of the maze.
Yeah.
Because whenever you're talking about, because they go from the chapel and where they go into the little confessional, and then it goes down, which that was something too, was a question, was like, who are all these people that are dead? And then it shows like the behind the like the flashbacks in between.
Mm-hmm.
But those are also, I think those are all the AIs, the hosts that were infected with the Arnold bug.
Which is, it was so interesting because there was so many things being called at that one moment. Walking into a church, finding religion, finding God, finding an existence. They're all sitting there and they all look like they're murmuring to themselves. It's almost like Acts 2:38, and they're all sitting there and, the tongues of cloven fire over their head, and they're all speaking in tongues. It's like that whole thing happening right there at that one moment. So it was just like, oh, whoa, this is a lot happening at once. She walks up past all of them, goes down, and then at the center of the maze,
is there God?
She finds Arnold.
Well, is there God?
Exactly.
There's another God symbolism with Ford and Bernard and
the bearing of the church.
Well, of course, but I meant like with Ford and Bernard, and he goes, "Why? If you knew that you had this backstory, this back door with Clementine, with myself this whole time, why did you let me do this?" And he goes, "Well, I suppose I wanted to see if you had full knowledge of everything that happened, would you still choose the route that you did?" And that's very much a biblical thing where God, like Jesus, gives us the free will to make our own choices. And so I remember thinking that too.
See, so that's where it's like, oh man, I love it. I love how they'll play with so many things all at once, and it was great to see. But I definitely think it is the center of the maze, because ultimately, who's led there? The one man has been searching for the center of the maze.
And the center of the maze is the kickoff to the new narrative, which is in the headquarters.
I don't know.
But the funny thing is like, again, and I'm sorry, and we'll wrap this up. It made sense that
no, Maverick, talk it out.
If this was different timelines, it would be cool that like the Men in Black finally gets to the center of the maze where Dolores was at this whole time, and then that was the key. Like, now that was the whole point of him getting to the center of the maze, and it happened to be the same timeline that Dolores was to unlock herself, which maybe it was just, there was no unlocking, it was for each other. But the way that the Man in Black enters, he's very clean. He's very like, he looks new. He doesn't look like he's been beat
he
or
enters
anything.
He enters almost exactly how he entered into Maeve's thing right before he killed.
That's why I didn't think that because the last thing that we see is him getting strangled and he's walking off, and he looks worn, he looks beat, like he's got some bruises, and so now he's walking into this chapel and he looks very like clean, and it doesn't seem like it's along the same storyline as what's happening.
See, here's the problem we have with this show. It doesn't tell us the story linearly. Like the linear storytelling doesn't exist here.
We know that for sure, because I mean, just in this episode alone, how many flashes through time do we have with Dolores?
Right. That's my point.
She's cut at one moment, she's not at the end.
But this is exactly what we're starting to experience with Ford now. Exactly what you're saying is that I don't know what's happening.
The one thing we do know is that we don't know much.
Mm-hmm.
So let's answer real quick what all happened. I mean, not what all happened. That's obviously what we're talking about. But what got answered and what's left pending, because there's not a lot.
That's true.
Well, I know I touched on that, like, in the very beginning, because that was my question before, was that, okay, these are, because that's all this episode was answering a lot of questions, but like the big ones, but still leaving the little ones open.
Well, I mean, we know that I guess the maze is figurative and literal all at once. I guess we can all agree we found the center of the maze. We know that Bernard is Arnold.
So the center of the maze is not a brain.
It's not a brain, but it's meeting your creator. Because remember, it's not for you.
Because you had a
It's
whole
not for
theory
humans.
about the brain and the...
Well,
Yeah.
no. What I said was that was still figurative. As far as the man in the middle of a brain, it was figurative.
And I remember Teddy also talks about that the center of the maze is a man that dies repeatedly. Is that what Teddy said? Yeah.
Sounds like that's someone that died repeatedly right there. As far as Arnold being himself, now he's Bernard, etc., etc. I mean, kind of sounds like it may be the case, but now we know Bernard is Arnold.
We know that
we
Teddy's
know-
Wyatt.
Go
ahead,
we
let's
don't know
call
that.
it,
No,
guys.
no.
Kinda.
We also know Dolores killed Arnold.
Yes.
Well, we know that that's what they're telling us. I mean, let's be
Sure.
real. I mean, well, I guess we do know that. But I mean, I feel like the show does this a lot, where it's like, oh, Ford says one thing, and then it's not
No,
anything
that's
what
true.
is happening at all.
we know that as far as creating
Until
when
I see it
came-
happen, I don't believe it.
as far as the creation of the host and a lot of the emotions and everything like that was bestowed upon by Bernard.
We know that Teresa is still dead.
Yeah,
We
we definitely know that.
we also know that
we don't know about.
we know that the Man in Black obviously is, as confirmed, is a huge stockholder
He's
in
a
this
shareholder.
company.
Yeah,
He's
he's
a
Oh
a
yeah,
part
she's
of the board,
part of
yeah.
the board.
a huge part of the board.
Yes.
By the way. So he knows everything about this park pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
We also saw what happened to Logan. Like Logan's back and doing his
Oh,
thing.
he's back.
But that we also know what Maeve can control Bernard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we know that.
Other than that, though, the only question left is who is the Man in Black.
Well,
Well, one of
right
the
now-
only main questions.
Why did
left.
Dolores kill Arnold? Why did the Ghost Nation ambush Stubbs?
and what happened and stuff.
And I mean, and then what exactly is happening with Dolores and her flashes and her healing and all that? What's happening there?
Mm-hmm.
Those are questions that I'm like, I have, and I would love to have an answer because I think they're going to be important.
I don't think we're gonna get that answered.
Oh,
in
not
one
the
episode.
next, no, not the next episode, but just new questions.
So you're thinking, so we'll wrap up everything to do with Dolores, the Men in Black, and probably Arnold and Ford, and that the ones that are going to be not wrapped up, but not necessarily cliffhangers because it'll probably come to a resolution, is the rebellion with Maeve.
I think the biggest. I don't think it's gonna be a cliffhanger, but I think because we also don't know what the new narrative is,
Right.
and I think that's gonna be the catalyst for the second season is what the new narrative is.
Mhm.
And I think that's going to be the deciding factor. I'm assuming. I'm not even saying that we're going to get this whole story wrapped up because I don't think there's enough time in an hour and a half to do that. But I do think that it'll wrap up the bigger plot holes. It'll leave more questions though,
Well-
not cliffhanger questions, but definitely more questions that are going to be like, oh, I wonder what happens next, kind of a deal.
I think we're going to see part of the new rebellion in the next episode.
You think they're already going to be building that army?
I think we're going to see part of it. I don't know if she's going to get down to cold storage because I think that's where she wants to go. Hell, essentially. So I don't think she's going to get to go
You
all
think
the way to cold
Abernathy will
storage.
join them? And
I think that's bull.
Which is another one of the smaller
sure,
things that we don't know about. Like, what is his role? Because we know in the beginning Bernard whispered something to him, and now we know that Sizemore and Charlotte are doing something with him too.
Clarice.
I don't know where that came from. Probably
But
It's because Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah. But I think also that they'll try to take Abernathy off through the train. He's going to blow up with Sizemore right next to him.
And so Sizemore's plot, his
Sizemore's
demise.
going to die right there.
And then we're going to find out he was a host.
I think Sizemore's going to die right there. Charlotte's going to try to find someone else to recruit next. I think we're going to find out about Mars.
Hey, what are the chances that Charlotte is the daughter of Arnold? The original Arnold.
I would like to say Elsie.
But then wouldn't she recognize Bernard and be like, "Hey, you made
Well, maybe she
my
does.
dad in my image"?
Maybe she does. And maybe that, because she was the one that fired. Maybe she does. So maybe I don't know. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
I don't think so. I don't
Stop
think
it!
so.
We're trying to
Sorry.
wrap this up.
Yeah, but I mean, those are my thoughts. That's what I would love to see, or at least what I expect to see.
Mhm.
We've heard yours, and we've definitely heard Joe's.
Now you guys are hearing. You guys are listening a lot more clear now, huh?
You can
also,
learn
we
today.
had
You
I'm
gonna learn something, boy.
I'm gonna talk about one comment.
What's
Just
that?
one that we had. One where somebody tried to call me out. Tried to call me out on YouTube.
Daniel.
Let's get this done right now. This is a read happening right now. I'm reading you. This is what happened. I'm the librarian. I am.
This is what you
reading
get. You think we don't see your comments?
Yes.
We are
So
watching.
there
How
was
can you
a- there
not
was a
think that?
comment-
Daniel comments back to everybody.
Everybody.
Me and
there was a
Maverick do see him.
comment- There was a comment where someone said, yeah, about that picture and Bernard, because I said there's just this awkward amount of space that's just empty, and I think it's because he can't see who else is in there in that picture. Maybe it's Arnold, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. I don't know, but there's space there. And someone commented, "You're stupid. You're an idiot. There's not enough space there. It's just cropped out for the shot of the camera. Blah blah blah. And you were wrong. You were wrong. Well, who's wrong now?" Who's laughing now, Mom? I mean,
It's just-
you person who's laughing now? Person. That's all I gotta say.
Do
That's,
you feel
that's
better?
the only. I do. Oh my god, I feel so.
Got
much
it all
better.
out, huh?
I did. It's therapeutic, you know. It's good about that.
Yeah. What's therapeutic is when
Listen.
episode 10 comes out.
We've
Okay.
skated pretty clean in terms of comments. I don't know. I mean, I haven't. Listen, the Westworld fans are a lot harsher than the fans I have on this channel. I must say,
Yeah,
they're harsher on me.
But the thing is,
Not on
they
me,
know
necessarily,
their
but on the
stuff.
show.
Like we've seen.
Yeah.
We're
Listen,
really
I gotta
keeping
give-
up with it.
yes.
You guys are awesome.
Credit
Yes.
to these guys.
Yeah.
These guys are the. I mean, honestly, like if it wasn't for these dudes watching the show, I wouldn't. It'd be crazy because
We wouldn't have a show.
they fuel it. Like I love this stuff. It's almost like we're getting in our own rabbit hole in this with this show.
We are. It's like
But-
it's beyond water cooler talk. It's something where we're talking about it, and it goes out throughout the entire week.
I mean, you
And that's
got
what makes it
Maverick
great.
to stay out past midnight, and that does not happen.
Yeah. Also, we'll probably have some more Maverick's hot comments show up.
That's all the
Apparently,
time.
that happens in every episode. So
That makes me feel. Thanks, guys.
She turns
At
red
midnight.
so quick. I love it. But saying we're probably gonna have some
You
of
thought
those.
you weren't gonna bring that up.
Oh
right?
no, I'm bringing that up. I read all the comments.
When are you gonna get the Daniels Hots comments?
I know
in there?
I am working hard at this, guys. But along with that, subscribe so you guys can leave comments as well, and
About Westworld.
about Westworld, and keep the conversation going about Westworld using the hashtag Bullets and Milk at that hashtag show on Twitter and everything else that we have, Instagram, everything. You can find us at that hashtag show. Any parting thoughts? Anything from anyone?
Oh man.
It's
I'm
so
gonna
much he has
miss
to
you
drink.
guys.
We are. Next
We're not
week is
gonna.
be
You're not gonna.
amazing.
We'll be around.
Next
You
week.
can catch Maverick on some other shows that we do. You can Daniel's on the Flash show.
Yeah.
I do a bunch of shows here too.
Yeah. So you'll see us around, and please watch the other shows. We put them out for you guys.
More comments about Maverick on those videos. as
Yes,
well.
on videos that she's not on. That's the best
You're
part.
gonna be watching The Flash. I wish there's more Maverick. in
Maverick
that.
was there. Where's
That's so
Maverick on
funny
there?
because I was just talking to Daniel about this off screen. I know we're wrapping out. You can cut this anytime.
Yeah.
But Daniel, do you get pissed when people are like, "Hey, when's the next Morphin Monday coming out on your video?"
Okay, and it's always on my videos. It's always on my video. They know I have a connection to Joe, and on videos where Joe has nothing to do with it.
Well,
they're
now
always
it's
like,
Maverick, too, I
"Hey,
feel
when's the next Morphin Monday thing?" Because Joe is the Ranger guy, so they're always asking, "When is the next Power Ranger thing coming up?" You know what? I don't know. Maybe you should ask a video where Joe's on it. Not me. Not me.
This is for the Flash, damn it.
Yeah, this is for the Flash. You leave me alone. I don't mind if you're asking where Maverick is. I understand. But don't ask me about Joe. Don't. But with that, I want to say thanks, guys, for watching. It's been great. Episode 10 is going to be amazing. We're all expecting it. We all want to see it. With that,
Movie.
say bye-bye.
Movie.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Thank you, Producer Josh. We will also be covering the movie. So that's going to be a treat for you guys also. So
Wait,
with
what?
that,
No, I'm
yeah,
just kidding.
congratulations.
This is news to me.
Congratulations.
I signed 10 episodes for this
Give me
show.
a spoiler alert before
I'm going to
that.
tie you guys down a chair just like William was, and you're just going to have to watch it. So we're going to cover the movie as well. So until then, I want to say I'm Daniel. This is Maverick, and of course that's Joe. And bang, bang, gulp, gulp.